Ever feel like, the future of AI is just kind of this like big mysterious thing?
Yeah.
Well, you're about to meet someone who's actually shaping that future.
Oh, cool.
Alex Sandy Pentland.
Okay.
You could call him like the architect of human-centered AI.
Interesting. Yeah.
So this deep dive is based on an essay about Pentland from aivips.org.
Okay.
And we're going to unpack like his work, his vision, and why it matters to you.
Sounds good.
So imagine cities that are designed around how we actually move.
Yeah.
Like not just traffic flow.
Right.
Or workplaces that can boost productivity.
Okay.
Based on like how people naturally interact.
Uh-huh.
This is the kind of stuff that Pentland's research is leading to.
Wow.
So his big idea,
he
calls it social physics.
Okay.
And it's like treating human behavior like a system.
Oh, why?
Just like physics. To see patterns and predict outcomes.
Oh, interesting.
So think of it like, if you can analyze how ideas spread, you can design systems that can help the good ones spread faster.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the reality mining project at MIT. This is one of his projects.
Okay.
They tracked people's movements and their communication patterns by using their phones.
Using their phones.
Yeah, and it's not like what they said,
Okay.
but how they interacted with each other.
Okay.
And this data was able to predict things like flu outbreaks.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it's not just academic stuff.
Okay.
This is actually leading to real-world applications, like wearable tech.
Wearable tech?
Yeah, he's developed these things called sociometric badges.
Sociometric badges, okay.
And they measure how people interact in groups.
Interesting.
Revealing what makes teams successful.
Okay.
It's like, think about it.
Okay.
You can actually see what makes a team work well together.
Uh-huh.
And then you can use that information to build better teams.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then there's also the Opal project.
Okay.
And this lets organizations analyze data, but without sacrificing privacy.
Wow.
So, like, think about the possibilities for healthcare.
Right.
Or economic development.
Uh-huh.
And then on top of all of that, Pentland is a huge advocate for ethical AI.
Oh, that's great.
So, like, he's developed this framework called the New Deal on Data.
New Deal on Data.
And it makes sure that individuals control their own data.
Oh, that's important.
So AI benefits society, but without exploiting people.
Yeah.
And his influence is global.
Okay.
Like he advises the UN.
Wow.
The World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
So his ideas are shaping how AI is governed worldwide.
Wow, that's amazing.
But now we got to get to the big questions.
Okay.
Like, can AI really capture the whole picture of human behavior? Some critics think social physics is too simplified.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And how do we balance privacy and the good that AI can do?
Right.
Even anonymized data can have risks. And will AI really be for everyone? We need to watch out for bias and make sure the benefits are shared.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a lot to think about here.
Yeah.
But Pentland believes in a future where we have democratic control over AI.
Democratic control.
Yeah, so it's not just tech companies or governments calling the shots.
That's interesting.
So how would you shape that future?
Mm.
What would you do with this insight?
That's a good question. So democratic control, what does that even mean when it comes to AI?
Right. It's not like we can hold elections for algorithms.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about voting for AI, but rather about giving people a real say in how AI is developed and used.
Yeah.
Pentland argues that decisions about AI shouldn't be made solely by tech companies or governments. He sees a future where everyday people have a voice in shaping the technology that's increasingly shaping their lives.
Okay. I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
But how do we actually make that happen?
Yeah.
It seems like a pretty massive undertaking.
It is a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
But Pentland has some interesting ideas about how we might get there.
Okay.
One of his key proposals involves using blockchain technology.
Blockchain.
Yeah.
Like what's used for cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin.
Exactly. Imagine a system where individuals could control access to their own data and even get compensated for sharing it, with all transactions recorded securely and transparently on a blockchain.
So instead of our data being mined by big tech companies without our knowledge or consent, we could actually have ownership and agency over it.
Exactly. This kind of control could completely change the power dynamics when it comes to AI.
Okay.
It could lead to a more equitable and ethical data economy where individuals have a say in how their data is used.
That sounds incredibly empowering.
Yeah.
But hold on, wouldn't this make things way more complicated? Like, how would companies even get the data they need to develop AI if everyone is holding onto their information?
That's a valid concern, but it doesn't mean progress would just stop completely.
Okay.
Instead, it could lead to more collaborative models where companies and individuals work together to share data in a way that benefits everyone.
Okay.
Plus, AI algorithms can be designed to work with smaller, more decentralized data sets, making individual data contributions even more valuable.
I'm starting to see how this could work.
Yeah.
It would require a huge shift in how we think about data and privacy. But the potential benefits are enormous. It's like a whole new paradigm for the future of AI.
Exactly. And it's not just about individual control over data.
Okay.
Pentland also envisions new forms of collective decision-making, where communities can come together to set guidelines for how AI is used in their lives.
Like town hall meetings where people debate the pros and cons of using AI for things like facial recognition or traffic management.
Exactly. It's about democratizing the conversation around AI.
Okay.
And giving everyone a voice in shaping the technology that's increasingly shaping our world.
This is blowing my mind, but let's step back for a second and talk about how Pentland even got involved in all of this.
Okay.
What led him down this path of social physics and ethical AI?
Well, his journey is a fascinating blend of diverse influences.
Oh.
It started back in the mid-20th century, a time when computers were just beginning to emerge as a major force. From a young age, Pentland was drawn to understanding how systems worked. He loved problem solving, math, figuring things out. And those passions led him to pursue a degree in computer science and mathematics from the University of Michigan.
So he was a techie from the start.
Absolutely. And his education gave him a really strong foundation in algorithms, computational modeling, and probability.
Okay.
He went on to earn his PhD in computer science from MIT.
MIT, of course.
A place that's been a hotbed of AI innovation for decades.
Yeah, makes sense. So what was his focus at MIT?
Yeah.
Was he already diving deep into AI back then?
Yes. His doctoral work centered on exploring how computational tools could be used to analyze and predict human behavior.
Interesting.
He was already blending cognitive science and computer science, a pretty forward-thinking approach at the time.
Wow. He was ahead of the curve. I'm guessing he had some pretty inspiring mentors along the way.
Oh, definitely. He was mentored by some of the biggest names in AI and cognitive science.
Wow.
Think Marvin Minsky, considered one of the founding fathers of AI.
Yeah.
And Patrick Winston, a pioneer in AI and symbolic reasoning. It was like an all-star lineup of intellectual giants.
Can you imagine those brainstorming sessions?
Yeah.
It must have been like witnessing the birth of a new era of technology.
I can only imagine, but it wasn't just about hardcore tech.
Okay.
Pentland was also deeply influenced by Nicholas Negroponte, the founder of the MIT Media Lab.
The MIT Media Lab? I've heard of that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty legendary place.
It is, and Negroponte fostered a very collaborative, interdisciplinary approach to technology, blending tech with design, art, and social science.
Okay.
This had a profound impact on Pentland's thinking and his belief that technology should be used to enhance human lives, not just for its own sake.
So it sounds like he had a really holistic view of technology.
Yeah.
Not just focused on the nuts and bolts.
Right.
But also on its broader impact on society.
Exactly. And there's another key figure who influenced Pentland's journey, Jerome Letvin, a neuroscientist and cognitive scientist.
Neuroscience. Okay, now I'm really curious. How did that tie into his work on AI?
Letvin's work on brain function and behavior gave Pentland these deep insights into the biological and cognitive processes behind human decision-making.
Okay.
And this helped shape his understanding of how AI could be used to not just mimic human intelligence, but also to complement and enhance it.
It's fascinating how all these different influences came together to shape Pentland's unique approach to AI. It sounds like a perfect storm of intellectual curiosity and a genuine desire to make a positive impact on the world.
It really is, but even with this amazing background in visionary thinking,
Yeah.
not everyone is on board with his ideas.
Okay.
There are some valid criticisms of his work that we should probably address.
Okay, let's dive into that. What are some of the concerns people have raised about Pentland's approach to AI?
Well, one of the main criticisms is that his social physics model might be oversimplifying human behavior.
Okay.
Critics argue that reducing complex social interactions to a set of equations ignores the nuances of human emotions, culture, and individual agency.
Okay.
It's like trying to capture the entire human experience in a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Which, as we know, can be pretty reductive.
That's a valid point. Humans are not robots.
Right.
We're driven by emotions, values,
yes,
and all sorts of unpredictable things.
Precisely. And there are also concerns about the potential for bias in the data used to train AI models. If the data sets aren't representative of the diversity of human experiences,
right,
the results could be skewed and even harmful.
That's a crucial point. We have to be really careful that AI doesn't end up reinforcing existing inequalities or creating new ones.
Absolutely. And these are challenges that Pentland acknowledges and is actively working to address.
So he's not just ignoring these criticisms, he's engaging with them and trying to find solutions.
He is, in fact. His commitment to ethical AI and democratic control are directly informed by these concerns.
Okay.
He believes that by giving people more control over their data and involving them in the decision-making process, we can mitigate these risks.
Okay.
And ensure that AI is used for good.
Okay, this is all starting to make sense.
Yeah.
He's not just some tech whiz who's obsessed with building cool algorithms.
Right.
He's deeply concerned about the ethical implications of AI and how we can use it to create a better world.
Exactly, but it's not all just theory and philosophy with Pentland.
Yeah.
He's actually putting his ideas into practice.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more about how he's translating his vision into real-world action. So how is he, actually putting all these ideas into action?
Yeah. It
sounds like a pretty ambitious agenda.
It is. He's tackling it on multiple fronts.
Okay.
For starters, he's been a driving force behind the development of new technologies that embody his principles of ethical AI and data privacy.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah.
What kind of technologies are we talking about?
Well, remember the OPL project we discussed earlier?
Uh-huh.
That's a prime example. It's like a practical framework that's already being used to analyze data in a way that protects privacy.
Right.
It's being applied in fields like healthcare, where researchers can study patterns in medical data without ever accessing individual patient records.
Right. The analyzing the flock of birds without knowing the flight path of each bird analogy.
Yeah.
That's pretty ingenious. So Opal is actually out there in the world making a difference.
It is, and that's just one example.
Okay.
Pentland is also involved in projects that are exploring new ways to use AI for social good. He's working on initiatives to use AI to improve education, reduce poverty, and promote sustainable development.
So he's not just talking about a better future, he's actively building it.
He is, and he's not doing it alone.
Okay.
He's like a master collaborator.
Okay.
Bringing together experts from diverse fields to work on these complex challenges.
It sounds like he's created a real movement around these ideas.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, what about the average person?
Yeah.
What can we do to contribute to this vision of a more ethical and democratic AI future?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Pentland believes that everyone has a role to play.
Okay.
He encourages people to become more informed about AI, to ask questions, and to demand more transparency and accountability from the companies and organizations developing and using AI.
So it's about becoming more conscious consumers of technology,
Yeah.
being aware of the data we're sharing and the potential implications of AI in our lives.
Exactly. And it's also about getting involved in the conversation.
Okay.
There are many organizations and initiatives working to shape the future of AI in a responsible way, and they need our support.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on AI.
Yeah.
It's not just about building smarter machines. It's about using technology to create a better world for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So for our listener who might be hearing about Alex Pentland for the first time, what's the one key takeaway they should remember?
I think the most important thing to remember is that the future of AI is not set in stone.
Right.
It's being shaped right now by the choices we make, the conversations we have, and the actions we take. And we all have a responsibility to get involved and ensure that AI is used to benefit humanity, not to harm it.
Well said. And for those who want to dive deeper into Pentland's work, we encourage you to check out the essay on aivips.org that inspired this whole conversation.
Yeah, it's a great place to start exploring the world of social physics and the future of human-centered AI.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back soon to explore more fascinating topics from the world of technology and beyond.
Great.
Until then, keep those minds curious and engaged.